Welcome back to episode 3 of the mechanic. In this video, I'm just gonna go over, or actually continue on my last video on the spiteless leash and the gank path. I'm gonna go more into alternative routes and ganking strategies. What gives you a cue on when to go? How do you follow up with a gank? Either leading by the jungle's advances or the lane's advances. In my last video, I showed you the smiteless leash and ganking patterns for both sides, starting at Ancient Golem, heading to red, then ultimately looking for that gank. But in this video, I want to let you know that you're not always limited to that one ganking pattern or jungle route. That's just one of the routes. There's a lot of different routes, and depending on what type of jungler you have and what type of follow-up abilities the lane that you're ganking for, you're gonna want to take alternate routes, and you can make that decision as soon as you enter the game. Specifically in this video, I'm going to start off with the smiteless leash onto the red buff, head to the Ancient Golem buff, then gank top lane, because one thing that is just very common is top lane isn't warded earlier on in the game, so it's actually one of the most vulnerable lanes in the game. So to follow up the rest of this clip right here, we have Darius, and he's running away from me. He's at about 20-25% health, and he's just very close to dying, especially with my ignite up. If I go one more rotation, he's definitely gonna fall. So that last clip brings up a really important concept. A very common thing is when a jungler ganks a lane, they go in, they either burn the enemy's hit point, summer spells, etc., and they just leave, they never come back. A more prudent approach would be you go gank a lane, you burn their flash, you take down a lot of their hit point, and you think to yourself, can I gank this lane again? If I gank this lane again, can I convert a kill better than if I were to rotate to a different lane? Because generally, after you've burned an enemy's flash or health or summer spell, if you go right back in that lane, it's a lot easier to pick up a kill than any other lane. So what I have in this clip is a Shen and Aurelia combo top lane. What Aurelia and Shen both has is they have a gap closer and they have a CC. Aurelia is either a stun or a slow, and Shen's taunt is sort of like a stun because it makes them attack me and keeping them in place. And so what I'm going to do is, since I know that I had just killed Volibear, he had just burnt his flash, and his passive is on cooldown, what I did was I had just swung back around, waited in this brush, and wait for another opportunity because I know that Volibear is behind and Aurelia is fed from first blood, making the second kill a lot easier to convert. So one of the things I didn't do in my last video was cover the other routes that's not as common. In this picture specifically, I'm covering the jungle route that I used on my first clip, where I started on the Wraith, moved on to the red, then did blue for a quick level 3, and just put a really aggressive pressure on top lane. Another thing I want to go over is, why would you choose one gank path over another? So the most important part here is, if you choose a certain gank path over another, there will be like a difference in level between you and the lanes you're ganking. So for example, if you're using this smiteless quick level 3 gank, when you get into the lane you're ganking, you're going to be level 3, and both your ally and the enemy is going to be about level 2. So here's some additional thought that goes into the process. Now that you're level 3 and the enemy's level 2, what that means is you're going to be doing more damage because you have more abilities. Your allies, however, they're going to be missing an ability, so you got to make sure your ally went 2 or a double aggressive spell so you can gank a lot easier. And on top of that as well, generally you want to gank an enemy that has an escape spell at level 3, so the whole purpose of ganking them before they hit level 3 is that you're going to not allow them to get that extra hit point from leveling up, or armor that they get from leveling up, or that additional escape or shield ability when they level up. Well, this brings us into yet another topic in terms of gank path. So another not as common gank path, but we do see it used every now and then, is you would see a jungler do the wolves, jump to the blue, and then gank as soon as you hit level 2. Generally, you want to adopt this gank path if you have even more aggressive jungler. Say, for example, Lee Sin, which has Tempest to slow the enemy and Resonating Strike that does a lot of damage in the first 2 levels of the game. And you couple that on top of having a squishy enemy that just scales really hard as you level up in terms of survivability. a champion that you know that you can't kill as soon as he's hit level 3 or level 4. And so you want to make this gank happen as soon as possible. So against champions such as like Riven or Morgana, it's just one of those situations where if you don't gank them early enough, it's going to be hard to gank them at all. So, for example, Riven, between Broken Wings, Veiler, and Keyburst, each is going to help her survive a gank. Either with Broken Wings giving her escapability, Keyburst stunning the enemy to escape as well, and Valor giving her yet another escapability. Then you have Morgana, who has a black shield that she generally levels up at level 3. So that's also another situation where if you don't gank her when she's under level 3, it's going to be hard to gank her at all. You can also flip this on the other side and start on the Wraith, do the red, and have a quick level 2 gank on top and mid as well. And so the whole concept of it is pretty much the same as I showed you on the Wolves and Blue start for that quick level 2 gank. So I'm just going to go over the choices for junglers on who would benefit from a quick level 2 ganks and who to use it against, because there's two sides to this story. One, you want to do a quick level 2 gank if one, your jungler is really strong and excels at it, and two, if the enemy is just very susceptible to getting ganked early on. Junglers that excel at ganking early on would be, say, Maokai. If you start off with Arcane Smash and Twisted Advance, you're going to have 2 CC abilities, allowing your ally to output more damage. Other junglers that can potentially benefit from a level 2 gank would be, say, Nocturne, Shyvana, Olaf, Udyr. Any jungler with either a lot of damage or a lot of CC. When you're using a jungler with a lot of CC, you gotta make sure it's coupled with a lane that can deal a lot of damage. If you're not putting out the damage, make sure the lane you're ganking for can do it. And if you're putting out a lot of damage, make sure the lane that you're ganking can keep them in place for you to put out that damage. So that actually covers my segment on aggressive early game ganking in terms of gank path and ganking strategies. In the next or future videos, what I want to cover is I just want to cover the whole level 3 through level 12 ganking phase. I didn't realize that each topic I cover would just take up so much time. So I want to make this more detailed, so I don't want to rush it, and I'll just continue and try and release more and more to follow up this topic. And I might jump around in different topics as well. So thanks a lot for watching. If you like what I do, continue to follow me, subscribe to my YouTube, on my Twitter, and I'll keep you guys up to date.